Hi folks, and welcome back to the plot. It's like a sleepy Saturday morning today. I haven't seen anyone on the walk up. It's about 10:30. It's not the morning or super early or anything, but we've had rain. It's been raining all night and it feels amazing. The heat has been pretty much unbearable recently, really challenging to come up and spend significant amounts of time. And I thought today, 3 jobs really. The first, I want to give a bit more of an in-depth tour of the Polytunnel and the greenhouses, show you what actual varieties are growing. Look at that perfect little flower. Oh, chilies do have the most gorgeous flowers. So yeah, we'll take a look at that. I want to show you as well what I'm sowing. Look, we've got some new trays. Mostly looking at biennial flowers. I need to have a little look through there as well. And harvesting. There's quite a lot of harvesting to be done. I think I've been doing that thing where I save it for videos. First thing to do, I think, is to have a look in here, which has become a proper jungle. It's cucumbers that are taking over, and I did have 4 tomatoes in here. Let's have a little look. There's one here that seems to be growing up quite nice. This one, struggling a little bit. This one's looking quite good, making its way up, and this is the problem. The path has been completely taken over by these oh, we've got a little one there. Now these are self-seeded. All these cucumbers just popped up apart from one. I planted one Merlin, I think, in the ground there. And this is the Honey Plus cucumber. I was a bit worried it was going to be the Crystal Lemon. I didn't really like the Crystal Lemon, but the Honey Plus is quite a nice little pale one. Now I just popped and got some scissors, and I tell you what, these have become like my favourite garden tool, to be honest. I prefer using scissors to secateurs so much. Just me? Not sure why, I just find them much more ergonomic. So let's get rid of this lot. I'm going to go through, take out any of the super powdery mildew ones. There's only 1 or 2 looking like that, it's not too bad in here. And the other thing is just trying to, I mean, I've kind of accepted that this is going to be just a jungle now. I had originally intended to keep these cucumbers nicely pruned and nip off a load of the side shoots, but that's not happening. I'll spend a little minute taking out some of them. Oh, I can see some tomatoes. Look, they're in there. But mainly I'm just going to go through here and take off any powdery mildew stuff and look for cucumbers. Okay, so it wasn't as dramatic in here as I thought. I was expecting to find a load of cucumbers. Unfortunately, this one has gone over. Look at that, but that looks like a market more, which is good. That is a variety that I do want to be growing in here. And my sad melon. This is not great. I was hoping maybe this year would be the first one we had some proper melons. I did sow quite a few seeds actually, but none of them germinated. And an allotment friend, gave me a spare plant which did come into the greenhouse very early. And you can see what's left of it here. Thankfully it did have one bit that set fruit, so that's what I've just harvested, but we'll have a look at the other one in the polytunnel later. The only really bad thing that happened in here is I've got a blackberry on my leg somehow. And I've just knelt down and smeared that all over my shorts, which looks quite funny. Thankfully the mildew, not too bad. Only had to remove a few leaves in there. Let's have a look in the greenhouse. We've got separated squash down here as well, and look, they are flowering, which is maybe not the best sign, but looking really healthy. These can probably go out very soon. Mostly butternut squash, looking really good. The cucumber that I put in the pot, starting to reach up. It's trailed exactly how I wanted it, with some help. But I'm really happy with that. That was just a little spare that I kind of salvaged and thought, hey, a little bit of space in the greenhouse, let's use it. These chilies, they're looking really good in the quad grows this year. Considering I started them so late and it was a bit of a sort of low effort year for the chilies, these plant supports, they are making me a little bit nervous. They move around an awful lot and the plants feel sort of flimsy in a way, like really top heavy. We've got a little fruit at the top here and it just feels a little precarious, but lots of nice fruit. This is a beaver dam. There's a few. This is like a really nice mild, kind of like a good salad pepper, you know, really good in a salad, just a little bit of spice. My jalapenos, this is the M jalapeno from Grown Local. Slightly small fruits, but I'm not sure how they're going to mature. One at the back here, much better size. Let me get it in the hand to show you. but still quite small for a jalapeno. So we'll see if they're going to continue fattening up or if we're just going to have some small fruits this year. I'm not going to complain either way. This one, looking really nice and healthy and dense from above. This is my grafted garden centre purchase, Celerio F1. Meant to be grafted for increased productivity. So far, I wouldn't really say this looks much different from my seed-grown beaver dam over here. A similar pepper, you know, thick wall, fleshy pepper. This one is pure sweet, no capsaicin. It looks good, but I wouldn't say it looks like anything special just yet. The grafted aubergine, on the other hand, this is the other garden centre purchase. Scorpio F1. Oh, I had that first aubergine just on the griddle, garlic and olive oil, and it was so nice. Now, there is a little bit of bad looking leaves, and I've been wondering if it's spider mite. They're just basically invisible to see. And it probably is. I'm kind of expecting to just have spider mite on most of my plants, but so far so good. The plants are growing faster than the spider mite can damage them, especially in here, which is where I was really worried about it. It has been a very dry year, but it has also been very humid, so we'll see. The tomatoes outdoors, I have supported these, so they're looking a bit better. These dwarf borlotti, what is going on? This is not the behaviour of a dwarf bean, is it? It's really funny. Maybe they're just a bit opportunistic. These tomatoes, they're growing okay outside. I don't think they're in dire need of any extra support right this second. This one's leaning over a little bit. They both sort of want to grow into each other. Come on. Oh, they've tangled up. Quite a lot of fruit on there, which I'd like to see the plants getting taller before they started fruiting. The beans are looking good. These ones are starting to go over now. This is dwarf borlotti. You can see the sort of patination on the pods. And so I'll just let these go completely until they're fully dried, because it's a dry bean that you harvest anyway. I think that's what you meant to do with those. It just looks so nice when it's wet. There's a few beetroot in here to be harvesting. This, I thought that was a beetroot that's gone to seed, but that looks like a chard that's kind of self-seeded. Let me get these. How are they looking? Oh, I love the colour of these golden ones, and I have tasted them now, and I think I do prefer the golden one, just a little bit milder, not quite so earthy. Beetroot are so funky, you know, they take a little while to get going, and then it's like they grow like the clappers. They grow really, really quick. No, it's nice size ones here, not too big. So let's harvest all of these, I think. Okay, scratch that. I've left quite a lot of these small ones because they look like they've still got some growing in them. Turns out it wasn't a chard. That is the red beetroot that went to seed. And there's an absolutely mammoth golden one there, starting to look more like a mangel wurzel. I might try and grow those, you know, they look absolutely wild. I think just over here there might be some courgettes. The squash plants are looking pretty good. That one, look, lovely new growth. I mean, I've seen some people's plots, they've already got, you know, one squash growing as big as a bed, so it's got off to a little bit of a rough start, but it is growing now. Look at this, more potatoes. I don't think I mentioned this actually in one of my last videos. I still have actually, yes, just in here in the greenhouse, some of the leftover Caledonian rows. Look at them, they look absolutely appalling, but those Caledonian rows were so delicious. We had them sort of like new potatoes, so I thought, hey, we've got all the buckets left out, stick a few of those really sad looking seed potatoes in, see what happens, and they've sprouted. There's loads all over the plot, and they're looking really, really good. You can see how much rain we've had. These little containers are absolutely sat in water. Courgettes, there's a little one on there. We'll have that. Some of the apples just starting to drop off. Oh, nice little golden ones. These ones are so soft. So soft. I think that's where they get the name butterstick from. Sunflowers looking messy, but that's kind of nice, I think. I like to just let these develop. They do look gross, but when they start to turn into the seed heads, that's when they're great food for the birds. It's looking pretty good in this bed, but let's just snip off a few of these sad looking leaves. It's fine, it's just a thing you get where leaves get older, they start to photosynthesize less, start to become more of a drag on the plant than a benefit sort of thing. So, oh, we've got the first little fruit starting to form on here. And this squash that I popped in, looking okay. Spring onions are struggling, they're not growing very fast this year. And I've struggled with the germination on those so much, but So far, so good with this bed. This was the troublesome bed, and it's looking good, isn't it? Any blackberries to harvest? I think, well, these might be boysenberries, actually. We were chatting about this on our live stream, and I think the birds have found these. I've had quite a few harvests. I've made about 5 jars of jam, but I do think it needs netting, because last time I was here, there was a lot more fruit on here. It was Kerry from Dog on the Plot talking about this. And one of the main things that makes me think this is a boysenberry is as they ripen, you still get just these tiny little bits of red on it, which is what I've seen in all the pictures of boysenberries. And I think we finally solved the mystery. I've been wondering what that plant was for a very long time, but very, very nice. Really not in a great location on this shared path. Quite difficult to net. I think next year I might just drape a bit of netting over, to be honest. It'll argue with the apple quite a lot, but let's have a look at the apples. Now, one of my neighbours said they sprayed a nematode on here for the codling moth, which is a little moth which lays its eggs kind of inside the apples or on the surface of the apple, and then when it hatches they burrow in, and it's really annoying. It usually leaves a little telltale mark on the outside, and what it means is you're going to have a big brown bit of kind of decaying apple in the middle of here and some little grubs hiding in the core normally. Not the end of the world, but the plant is looking surprisingly healthy given the drought that we've had this year. Actually, it's got quite a good number of apples on here. They'll be ready very soon. They're an early eating apple. And try and make some cider from it this year. But yes, the blackberries, the boysenberries, you can see this is the first year growth. This is what's all grown this year. And so I just pin it back, and then this is second and third year growth that's trained along. And at the end of this year, I'll cut these, take them away, and then kind of train this year's growth along there. So this will be the second year growth, and that's what these fruit on. And if you can get your hands on a boysenberry, I thoroughly recommend it. I found them incredibly productive and most of all easy to handle because there's no thorns like blackberries. Just a really nice little plant. Very lucky that this was on here when I took on the plot. They do have these kind of long berries as well. They're much longer than a standard blackberry, but the birds do like them too, so beware. These spuds, maybe definitely time for a spud harvest. But I've not got the car and I don't fancy lugging home kilograms of potatoes, so we won't be doing that one today. But that is something I need to do. So much lettuce this year. Grew way too much, really. So much. Pretty much everywhere you look, there's this red salad bulb going to seed. But we've got some more in the greenhouse, some more beetroot on here. How are you looking? Coming along nicely, but I think a little while longer in there. Very sad courgette. It's a shame that one never really got away. The slugs did more damage than it could survive. New squash looking just about okay, hanging on in there. Rhubarb looking really healthy. Asparagus, probably time now for me to chop that back and just lay it down, chop and drop. This bit of the plot looks so sad, but it's just these peas. And now we've had a load of rain. It's probably not the best weather to be harvesting these. I want them to be nice and dry. So it is a bit of an eyesore really. But just one of those things. And I'm not too worried about it. There's a few more Kalima beans on here to harvest. Is it worth? I think I might get these. Yeah, let's do a little harvest of these. There we go. A modest harvest. Nothing too special, but nice to have. The last lot was so good. Oh, big batch. Cooked it up the day of. So they're nice and sweet and tender and plenty in the freezer as well. One of my favourite things to grow, those green beans. And low maintenance. Just stick them in the ground and let them go. Under here, we've got some gooseberries, another kind of plot inheritance, and something I will admit I've been very lax with and basically ignored, apart from giving them the old mulch. Oh, this is annoying, isn't it? Get out, get out. Let's go around. Go on. This is the problem with using this like leftover mesh. Oh. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Loads and loads of stuff to get hooked on netting. Not ideal. I couldn't really use a bit of timber because it might have suffocated the plants. This is one of the issues with this cherry tree. Look, just so many suckers coming up everywhere, but did have a lovely harvest, so I will probably keep it. This is a real trouble area for bindweed too. Look at this. And what I've discovered this year, I had 3 gooseberry plants in here, and this one has always looked really, really sad. Really having a tough time, and it turns out this is a red gooseberry, not a green one. The other 2 are green. I don't know, there's something a little bit reassuring about the fact that they're different varieties. It suggests that, you know, there's a reason for this one dying a death, a very slow death compared to the other 2. So maybe I should take out that red one. One thing that isn't going great is this rhubarb transplant in here. I cut a bit of the crown off, popped it in the ground, and it's alive. It is still growing new leaves, but quite a lot of slug pressure. If anyone's got any tips about what you think that might need, let me know. Come on then, netting. There's a couple of pigeon feathers in here. Pigeons tried at some point, I think. Oh, hello. Look at this. The gooseberries are coming off in the netting. Ooh. Ooh, bugs. Is that a bug? Oh yeah, that's definitely a bug. Look at that fat, juicy, plump fellow though. No bugs. I think that's been one of the surprises about allotmenting. Fruit is lovely and really satisfying to grow and very cost effective as well. One of the most expensive things to buy is soft fruit compared to, you know, potatoes and whatever else you're growing. But every fruit infested with bugs. The bugs love it. So you have to put quite a lot of time into like prepping it. I tend to, with all the boysenberries and the cherries, do a light vinegar soak, and it's kind of gross the amount of stuff that comes out of it, but also quite satisfying to know that you've cleaned it all up and that you're gardening organically, you know. I'm sure all those gribbly little bugs do play a vital role in the ecosystem and feeding things. I think I've actually let these go too long. That's annoying, isn't it? A load of these gooseberries, they look like they've gone over, but some of them look quite nice. And like the cherry tree, this is the first time I've ever actually put up some defense from the pigeons. One of those things that you don't necessarily realise is all going to the pigeons. I just thought maybe they weren't very productive. I never saw a ripe gooseberry on here. One of the things that I did find out, you know, quick Google, is they take a long time to ripen on the plant, and then normally it recommends harvesting around mid to late July. The green ones are strange. I found the red one much sweeter. They are quite pleasant. They're very grapey. You know, it's kind of like a green grape vibe. Nice though. Kind of appley on the skin, you know, that tartness of a green apple. But we'll get in here, give this a little harvest. I'm sure I'll find some recipes and some things to do with them. There is a little bit of this kind of stuff, you know. Oh, they're so spiky. Look at that ferociousness. They're not like my lovely boysenberries, but yeah, a lot of this kind of old growth. I'm not sure if I probably need to research how to prune these things, keep them nice and fresh and productive. Yeah, let me in. Okay. Now, this feels like a job I've already been doing for years. I'm not having fun. I'm not having fun, folks. I've been spiked about 1 million times. I've kneeled on a little bit of spiky stem, and now I'm in here doing a mix of A, harvesting, and B, trying to pull out the all this clods of grass have grown up around the stems of these gooseberries. And I'm not really a fan of the idea of growing sort of under plastic. You know, you get people, especially market gardeners, who grow, you know, plastic everywhere and then circles cut out for your crops. This is the sort of place where I'm like, yes, you can definitely justify that in my books, and I'd be tempted to do it, because trying to weed, you know, it's hard enough trying to harvest these things, but trying to weed around them as well and getting spiked, and I've got a cherry tree pushing in my back. Not ideal. This is not an ideal setup. I really hope I like gooseberries, like gooseberry fool or jam or whatever you make with them. Put the gooseberry harvest on pause because it's an absolute downpour. It's been so long since I've had the rain in the Polytunnel. It is just one of the best sensations. So one of the things I wanted to do today is give you a proper tour of all the tomatoes, talk a little bit more about the varieties, how they're all growing. I've only ever sort of come and gone very quickly in here, and do the same with the chili peppers. It's looking so good this year, isn't it? We are coming towards the end of July now, and it's time for me to start feeding these peppers properly. They're more or less going to have started to fill out the pots, and this year I want to use a new feed that I've not used before. We do have a minor issue down here. There is a very, very slow leak in this water butt. I'm not sure exactly where it's coming out, but it's slow enough that it's not a concern. I mean, this thing is barely draining. It lasts a really, really long time. So something to figure out next year, but for now, You know, fingers crossed it doesn't get worse. But what I'm going to be using to feed this year, I've tried a variety of different feeds, and this year I want to try something from Hydrocrop. It's a feed called Hydrosol, and it's like super specialist, designed for hydroponic systems, and I think it will be really, really good. Oh, we got the first red pepper in there. But yes, the varieties. So this is my jalapeno. So this is the same as the M jalapeno that we just looked at in the greenhouse. And I would say on here you can see some much bigger pods forming. The pods on here do just look that little bit fatter, more of a jalapeno shape, although generally there are still plenty of small ones on there. So you can see these are in their flowering stage now, you know, they're in full fruit. I'm happy with that. They could be bigger, they could be a lot larger plants, but they look pretty damn good, don't they? This is a good size for a chili plant. So we'll start feeding them more with the flowering and fruiting focused liquid fertilizer, and that should kick things into gear properly. This is the Brian's Blood. Really interesting. Oh, look at that. This seed was sent to me and I didn't really know what to expect. Brian's Blood sounds like a spicy pepper, so we'll see. There's just this tiny bit of variegation that's coming through on the leaves, and seeing it on the pods as well. It's gorgeous. I wonder if it'll stay as it ripens. One of the things I'm noticing with these supports, I mean this one, ooh, that's starting to list quite a lot. Try and push it down a bit. I might end up having to do in the polytunnel a bit of staking up to the top, stringing, I mean. Oh, wow. You see a little bit more variegation on this one. Oh, the rain sounds so good. This is my other grafted sweet pepper. So this is the Solario, which we just looked at, and you can see I've had some issues with this one. Now, sweet peppers I've always struggled with a little bit. They require slightly different things than chili peppers, which I've been growing for years and know how to grow. I think the main thing, they need more water. So you would hope the auto pots, which control all of that automatically, would handle that. And I think this was probably just sun scorch and sunburn, and I'm hoping this fruit on here is looking healthy. Let's have a look. Oh no, it is not. Now, that looks more like blossom end rot, I think, which is normally a sign of a lack of water. Let's get rid of that one. Lack of water definitely shouldn't be an issue in the auto pots, so I'm thinking it could be more of a calcium deficiency. So I'm hoping the Hydrosol, the new feed, which because it's designed for hydroponics, will have everything it needs to prevent this. That is a real shame though. Definitely worthwhile taking off any sad fruit like that, because you don't want the plant putting energy into ripening that. You want it to grow new healthy pods. This next one looking really good. Oh, it's been so long since I did. Well, I haven't done a chili tour this year. This is the first sort of chili tour. And it's so good for making me just stop and look at them properly. Look at how they're all growing. Notice things like this grapevine, which is just determined. I've cut this back twice this year, properly harshly, and it just keeps shooting out. But this is the balalaika, which I believe is a sweet pepper, and I think is designed for sort of paprika. But then again, that feels like a very fleshy. What, should we have a little taste? We could have our first taste, couldn't we? Oh, shoot. Camera survived, just about. That was close. Yes, sweet balalaika. I think that's how it's pronounced. It's a musical instrument, but this is meant to be a paprika pepper for drying. In my experience beforehand, drying peppers for drying, don't tend to taste that great. Look at how thick that wall is. That's a really fleshy pepper. And normally drying peppers, very thin, like a cayenne. Mild, pleasant, very sweet. But yeah, sort of like a, just fine. You know, nothing special, definitely not for eating. But so often with a drying pepper, you have to dry it to get the real flavour profile and everything that it's been designed for. So excited to see how these continue. It's just not, it's not nice like biting into a ripe bell pepper. It's amazing. Oh, there's so many ants in my polytunnel, get off me. It is really interesting this year how uniform the chili growth is. They are almost all exactly the same size, with the exception of this one. And I think that's the new layout, you know, giving them all equal space and equal light. It's not normally how it looks in here. This one's looking really nice, and nice big leaves on here. Maybe slightly pale compared to, say, the lovely dark green healthy leaves of this sweet pepper, which is quite interesting. But this one is the Marconi, another sweet pepper from Growing Local. As you can see, lots more sweet peppers this year. I've just found I've still got, you know, dozens of bottles of hot sauce, and I don't need to make any more. And in here we've got the Bishop's Crown, another one from Growing Local, and this one does look remarkably different actually compared to the rest. A slightly bigger plant, but the main thing is all of the flowers. So many flowers on here. This one has really kicked into flowering stage and would really, really benefit, more ants, from a properly formulated feed. One thing that is quite interesting is this is actually my dud specimen. This is the one I brought out early into the greenhouse on the 20th of April, and it didn't really get hit by the cold, and it's done just fine. Very, very interesting. And then in the chili grow, you can see maybe the plants don't look quite as happy. A little bit more yellowing of the leaves. This is the Bishop's Crown. And you can see actually the difference there between that Bishop's Crown and that Bishop's Crown. So far, I've been really impressed with the chili grow, but I do think we are going to have some smaller plants. We've got a sweet balalaika in here. Once again, a little smaller. And then, what's this one at the end? A Brian's Blood. I can tell just from the beautiful variegation on here. Looking really good. Now onto the greenstalk. I think I have been underwatering this. I had a comment from someone saying that in the height of summer, they need to water theirs daily. And I do think I've been underwatering it. So we've got the first little tomatoes on here. This is Veranda. And I have been using a seaweed feed, but the basil doesn't really look much happier. You can see it's starting to go to flower. And I think really I might have to harvest a lot of that. Any tips, any feedback, let me know what you think. I think mainly just teething issues, to be honest, on here. The aubergine is starting to grow. I think getting the watering is just so key with this. I saw Eli did quite a good video on all the pros and cons of these, and oh no! Oh, I've just been expecting the strawberry to be such a bust that I've actually missed some down here that have gone over ripe. I'll definitely be replanting these with strawberries, and hopefully next year. Oh, hello. Yes. And hopefully next year we'll have a much better strawberry crop down here, and I'll get the watering right. It's that classic overwatering at one part, underwatering at the other. The chili pepper in this one and the basil is actually looking not too bad, but this thing needs to go outside. If I'm going to keep it, I cannot have it in here with the lack of rolling around. It's just so frustrating. Even on the little casters that I bought, it's just very, very, very awkward. The other side, the tomatoes. Now this is the first thing. Look at this. Unbelievable. Now this, oh my goodness. Look at the size of it. I hadn't realised how long that one had gotten. Oh my giddy aunts. That is amazing. And that is a grafted cucumber. You can see the fruits further up the plant though. They're not happy at all. Maybe lack of water, maybe just, you know, too much going on down here. I'm not too sure, but let's have a proper look at the tomatoes because, oh, look at that. We have got some ripeness, folks. What's this one? Oh. My first tomato. This is the indigo blue chocolate. One I've had struggles with over the years. One of those plants that for me has just never grown quite right. We've had lots of curling leaves and that sort of thing, and then sort of a lack of fruiting and only getting a couple of fruits by the end of the season. But we've got two in here, a little pairing, and they're looking really good, really happy, healthy. So far, I think generally it's like an okay performance from the tomatoes. They're growing pretty quick, but we do have much bigger ones on this side compared to at the back of the tunnel. Now these two, they are brandywine, and you can see there's some absolutely gigantic fruit starting to form on these, but the leaves on both of them looking really sad, and that one looks like it might be a bit of a deficiency. And then this one, there's a bit of concerning black spotting that looks quite bacterial. So I'm going to get it in there immediately use a clean pair of tools and then dispose of them outside, because if that is bacterial, I don't want it spreading. Oh, the sun has come out and it is very, very warm. Now, looking at these plants, these brandywine, look at those flowers. They don't look too good, do they? I've got a feeling that might be flower drop and I don't think they're gonna set, which would be a shame. Oh my goodness. Oh, I've got so many ants on me. Oh, I've just rubbed up against one of these cosmos plants, which do have, unfortunately, a whole host of ants and black fly, and there are loads of ants crawling all over my shoulder. Gross. So that's a shame about the brandywine there. It's a real shame. The pink brandywine meant to be delicious as well. Now, these two in here, blueberry dessert. Much healthier plants, some lovely blueberry looking fruit. That one looks a bit funky. One of those things. Now, this plant looking nice and big and healthy. Next door plant, not so tall. So like I say, it's not a perfect year. Oh, there's more ants. Oh, that is a real... Oh, they're all over me. Oh. Okay, might have to stop leaning into these plants and just zoom. And now at the front here, we have three gargamel. And once these ripen, they're meant to be absolutely gorgeous. And once again, they're looking okay, but not amazing growers. And I'm wondering, you know, blueberry dessert, gargamel, these are from NR tomatoes, a new variety that I'm trying. Maybe not bred so much for productivity and fast growth, because just next door, look at this. Black Moon, sky high, absolutely rocketing away. And Black Moon does famously grow very well for me. It's a really nice plant, but we've got two Black Moon at the front looking fantastic. And then look, oh my goodness, the Apero, the sweet cherry next door. Flipping fantastic. Once again, just such strong growth, big, healthy, chunky stems, loads and loads of fruit. Then next door to that, we've got the Rosella, which did, in one of my earlier tours, look really sad. And thankfully, it looks like they've bounced back just fine. I'm not sure if it was the watering that was slightly wrong, but oh yes, look at those. Look at those beauties. Harvest quickly. Oh yes. Rosella last year, probably one of my favourite varieties. Can you see the ants? So many. Please. There's so many. First tomato. I'm like a kid at Christmas seeing all these. Oh yes. Oh yes. Rosella are so good. They're like strawberry sweet. Oh, divine. Heaven. Absolute heaven. Now behind the amazing Black Moon at the back, we've got these are the two Black Beauties. And this one looking pretty good. Looking okay. That one not so much. I'm hoping they carry on doing their business. Very strangely, we've got the Paul Robeson back here. There's a pair, one here and one there. I tend to plant these in pairs. And that, yeah, I mean, not quite a circular. Oh, I've done it again with the ants. Ah. Oh my goodness, there's so many, so itchy. This is becoming very tiresome. But the Paul Robeson fruit, that doesn't look like Paul Robeson to me. That looks like something else. Maybe we've had a labelling mishap, because that is a Paul Robeson. They're very circular, very spherical. Look at this, Black Moon. They're not quite ready to harvest. The Black Moon, they turn a gorgeous colour, but they take a little while till they go nice and squidgy and sweet. We actually have three Paul Robeson, that's another one there. And that one does look a little bit unusual with the fruit as well, actually. Some of them do look like Paul Robeson, and some of them look like bigger, more heirloomy kind of thing, but maybe that's just a little bit of variation. Oh, look at that. Absolutely gorgeous little mushroom. So clean and white. Looks like it's next to a calendula seed as well. Now, behind the Rosella, we have the Bliss, a yellow tomato. And it looks like there's just one starting to ripen on there. A little bit on here. Ooh, that one has got a little bit of blossom end rot. Can you see just in there? That is concerning. Maybe I've been underwatering, actually, not overwatering in here. Need to fiddle with the irrigation. They are maybe ready. I'm gonna get ants in there. Oh no, is that end rot? Yeah, I think it is, isn't it? That's a shame. Maybe Bliss is a little more sensitive to it, a bit more prone to it. I will say the Bliss plants are looking really healthy, and nice and tall, loads of flowers too, so that's a good sign. Behind them we've got 3 lithium sunsets, and they are all bereft of fruit just yet. Oh, there's one big one just in there. You can just start to see it blushing a little bit. My favourite tomato last year, I think, lithium sunset. Best tasting large tomato ever. So hopefully those 3 will continue to grow. Like I say, always good to kind of stop and have a proper tour. The chilies are looking amazing, but the tomatoes kind of mixed this year. Although I do wonder if it's the seed. All of the grown local seed has really nice, big, healthy plants, and I think they are more slightly commercial varieties. And then the seed that I've got from Niall Radford, NR tomatoes, they're slightly more unusual, maybe slightly less productive ones. I think that's got to be more than a coincidence, you know, all those ones that I got from Grown Local looking so good and big and strong. I have been using an organic tomato focus feed over the top, so I'm hoping not any kind of feed deficiencies or any of that. So far so good with the irrigation setup, and if this did fail, you know, if it was stopping, then you've got a nice buffer with the soil. You know, the plants are going to be fine in the soil for probably a week, to be honest. You know, that irrigation system could fail and it would be just fine. I've heard it going today, you know, and I can see the level of the water butt, so very easy to monitor. Let's get a few of these cucumbers, shall we? Look at that! I've never grown full-size cucumbers before. I've only ever managed the smaller kind of gherkin-sized. So to have something like this is phenomenal. I'm gonna have to look up some cucumber recipes. I quite like those, well, no! Just about saved it with my foot. Those spicy cucumber salad recipes are really, really nice. Did you see Monty Don's controversial recipe on Instagram? Cooked cucumber with cream and herbs. That's been the talk of the gardening world, that has. Right, I'm gonna finish off those gooseberry harvests and I'm gonna get that hydrosol fertilizer in the chilies, but more on that next week. Thank you ever so much for joining me. An extra special thank you, as always, to all of my Chilli Pepper Tier patrons, Tony, Bill, Pam, Mel, Michael, Socks, Dorcator, Louise, Andre, and Brett. Hopefully I'll see you again in the next one. It's so warm. Oh my goodness, I'm cooking.